Welcome to the Parent Portal Part 2. As I stated before, I will be showing you adding with 3 add-ins in math, opinion for writing, and comparing and contrasting for reading. I'll share with you some things that I've taught the students and ways that you can help at home, especially on the homework or if they're needing help. I'm going to talk quickly, so I apologize. I want to make sure that this video is not super lengthy. If you have additional questions after watching, please feel free to email me, write me a note in the folder, or contact me via AppleTree. Adding with 3 add-ins. You can see at the top, this is what our equation would look like while we're adding with 3 add-ins. We've taught students a number of strategies: counting on, number line, 20 frame, drawing, and making a 10. Students are allowed to choose any of these strategies that work best for them. I'm going to show you counting on and drawing while on this screen. If I were to give students 4 plus 2 plus 3 equals they could use the counting on strategy. This is a mental math strategy where students would put the biggest number in their head first. In this case, that would be the number 4. They would then count on 2 more, and they are allowed to use fingers for assistance. If I put 4 in my head and count 2 more, that would be 5, 6. Now the student would need to count on 3 more. So with 6 in their head, they would count 3 more. 7, 8, 9. There's not much to look at for the counting on strategy because, again, it's a mental math strategy. The next strategy I'll show you on this screen is drawing circles. Basically, students will draw the number of circles under each number. So they would draw 4 under the number 4, 2 under the number 2, and 3 under the number 3. Students then just need to count all of the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I will show you the number line, 20 frame, and make a 10 strategy on the next slides. Let's look at the number line. Using the number line is something that students have already been taught. There's just an extra step because now there are 3 add-ins. This means students need to understand that they're going to have to hop 2 times instead of just 1 time. Using the same example of 4 plus 2 plus 3, let's look at the number line. Students should put a dot on the number 4 because that's the first number in the equation. They would then hop 2 times because of the number 2. 1, 2. They would then have to hop 3 more times because of the number 3. 1, 2, 3. This means that they've landed on the number 9, so the answer is 9. Let's look at the next strategy. Using a 20 frame. Using the same example, 4 plus 2 plus 3, here's how you would use a 20 frame. Students would put counters, or if it's in their journals, they would draw dots in 4 of the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. They would then put 2 dots in for the number 2. 1, 2. Last, they would put in 3 more dots for the number 3. 1, 2, 3. How many spaces have they filled up? 9. So the answer is 9. Last, let's look at the make a 10 strategy. If you have noticed, I have changed the numbers slightly. This is because 4 plus 2 plus 3 will not work for the make a 10 strategy. I've changed it to 4 plus 2 plus 6. This is a great strategy if your students are familiar with their partners of 10 or their 10 facts, but it only works with problems where there are partners of 10. In the problem above, 4 plus 6 make a 10. Making a 10 is easier because 10s are easy numbers to work with. I've taught students how to circle and draw lines like I just showed you to make that 10. They then need to remember that they still have to add plus 2. If students are familiar with their 10 facts, 10 plus 2 is very easy to do mentally. 10 plus 2 equals 12. Feel free to teach your students any of those strategies and know that they should use the strategy that works best for them and their learning style. Now let's talk about writing. I'll try to make this quick. Our 3 big focuses for opinion writing are interesting beginning, details and reasons, and closing. For interesting beginning, we're practicing on starting our writing with a noise, a quote, or something interesting. Instead of every single paper starting, I like fall because, we're trying to teach them to have a voice and to differ how they're starting their writing. Details and reasons. When writing an opinion piece, we require in first grade that they have 3 reasons. The favorite first grade word, because, comes in handy for opinion writing. If they're writing about their favorite season, for example, they might say, I like fall because, or winter is my favorite because. And the last thing we're working on is a closing. A closing is how they end their writing, and for opinion, I've modeled for students to say, that's why I like blank, or that's why I think blank is the best, depending on what topic we're writing about. We're also still focusing on capital letters, spaces, punctuation, and sound spelling. Now let's look at reading. This week in reading, we are focusing on comparing and contrasting. This week, we're doing comparing and contrasting on the surface. Next week, we will be diving deeper into compare and contrast so that we can compare and contrast characters within stories. Here's an example we did in class. Ours were stuffed animals, but I've chosen real pictures for this video. We looked at 2 different kinds of cats and modeled for students how to use a Venn diagram. One side will be for the one item, and the other side will be for the other. Those are the sides where we put things that are different. In the middle, where I've shaded blue, is where we put things that are the same. Students did a great job with me, giving some examples of how the cats were different and the same. They gave me some reasons like, the examples they gave me were stripes, yellow eyes, longer tail, and gray and black for this side of the Venn diagram. And they came up with green eyes, all black, shorter tail, no stripes, all one color for this side of the Venn diagram. In the middle, we talked about how they were the same, and students came up with they're both cats, they both have whiskers, they both have tails, they both have paws, they both have 2 ears, and they both have 2 eyes. This is something you can work on at home and make a game. You could pick any 2 objects in your house and practice comparing and contrasting them. You can use a Venn diagram, or you can simply do it out loud. How are these things the same? How are these things different? Using the vocabulary compare, contrast, and Venn diagram will really help the students. But it also helps to get their mind thinking of how things are the same and how things are different. Again, this week we're focusing on what they see and what they know, but next week we'll be diving deeper into using these skills to compare and contrast characters. I hope that has helped you understand some of the concepts that we're learning this week and ways that you can help at home. Thank you so much for your continued support. We're very glad to have you part of our awesome first grade class.